Welcome everyone to our Thursday production training. Today we have from the Big Island of Kona, Hawaii. Uh, Shaka. If you guys don't know who Dylan Nonaka is, he's a team leader at eXp Realty and he has 164 agents on his team. They're currently on track for 1,000 transactions in the island, all the islands of Hawaii, and we were super excited to have him. If you guys didn't know, he was actually in the Marine Corps. Served how many years, Dylan?
I did 4 years active duty right after high
Sorry?
school. 4 years active duty right out of high school.
4 years active duty. So he actually has killed people with his bare hands. Just kidding. But he's here to teach us today on how to master your time. And there's no question, there's no coincidence, and it's not luck that him and his team are able to sell 1,000 homes this year and become top three all over the United States for eXp Realty. So without further ado, Dylan Nonaka, welcome to the call. Thank you.
What's up, John? Thanks for having me, man. And thanks everybody for joining in. If you have any questions or you want to dig deeper into something, I got a slide deck here I'm gonna go through to keep me on track because I can go all over the place. But just raise your hand if you guys want to talk more about any part of this or dig deeper into it. And I'm hoping to give you guys some solid tools and takeaways that you can use in your life and your business to plan your time and use it more efficiently. So is my screen sharing right now? I'm not seeing
Yes,
it.
sir. Yep. All
All right,
good.
you got it. All right, cool. Okay, so let's jump right into this. So the first thing is maybe you guys put in the chat what is your hourly rate right now, or what is your desired hourly rate? Do you know what this is? Because I think this helps you understand the value of your time. So give me some examples. What do you guys got for hourly rate in the chat? 150 bucks an hour. Okay, good. And so what is 150 bucks an hour equal in yearly income? Just a 40-hour work week, standard 40-hour work week. Okay, perfect. So you guys know this is good. All right. So this is the breakdown basically, and it's really easy to figure out. It works out nicely. It's like every 50 bucks an hour that you make is 100 grand in yearly income. And so when you think about your time, if you want to make 300 grand a year, you got to be making 156 bucks an hour. And when you understand this, I think it very much helps you make decisions in terms of how you spend your time and what you spend your time on. Because if you don't have a value connected to it, it's much harder to make decisions. And so this is the first thing: is if you haven't done this exercise, figure this out, do your business planning, figure out what your desired yearly income is. What I'm not going to go through a business planning practice. I'm sure John will do this with you guys, but figure out how many homes you got to sell at what average price point and what your total volumes got to be. And that'll help you figure out then how much time and effort you got to put into each one of your activities to reach that desired income. So the principle here, and this is like on my wall behind me, is discipline equals freedom. So I didn't come up with this. I learned this from Jocko Willick's book. Uh, the hell's the book called? I can't remember, but he's a former Navy SEAL. He's got amazing books on leadership, but one of the main principles that he talks about all the time is discipline equals freedom. And a lot of times we're raised in our lives to believe that like discipline is a bad thing and it restricts happiness in our life and all these different things. And I'm a big believer, if you can apply discipline to your life, it creates more freedom in other things that you do. And this really applies to everything. So if you think about your health, right, if you're very disciplined about how you eat and exercise, you will have much more freedom in your life long term to live a healthier life. But in the short term, I think about this in the concept of I'll be very disciplined for 6 days a week. So one day a week I can do whatever I want, or on the weekends I can eat and drink whatever I want. Where if Monday through Friday I'm putting a workout in every single day and being disciplined about my diet, it creates more freedom for 2 days a week, and it makes life more enjoyable when you wanna splurge. It applies to our relationships, right? If you are disciplined in your relationship with your spouse, you have the freedom to have a very long, fruitful, happy relationship into your older years. But it takes discipline, right? It takes uh self-control. Finances. If you're disciplined about your finances when you're younger and you make better financial decisions, you will have more freedom in the future to not have to work until you're 80 years old, and you'll have more freedom to do whatever you want to do later on in life. In your business, I saw a great quote from at a conference I was at recently, that if your systems don't protect you, your business will destroy you. And your systems are the disciplines around what you do in your business, because I think all of us have gone through a cycle in our business where we get very busy. We're creating a lot of success, but it's destroying our life, our relationships, our happiness, the things that we'd rather do it in life. The reasons that are why we're doing and the business and working so hard diminishes because we don't have systems to protect our time and what we're doing. So disciplining your business will create more freedom in the rest of your life, definitely. And then disciplining your mindset. I'm not going to go into this in depth, but affirmations, meditation, all of those kinds of things that you can do to put your mind space in the right place will create more freedom in all the rest of the things that you do. So always think about, like, what are you doing to discipline your mindset? Because that's in this business, and John is one of the leading thinkers in this area. Is so very, very important to everything that we do, is being in the right mindset every single day and being disciplined about that, and having a practice that intentionally resets where your mind is at, so you're in the right mind space to do the things that are hard that we don't always necessarily want to do. So here's the concept that I hope is new, because every time I talk about this, a lot of times this isn't something that a practice that people go through. But I came up with this years ago when I was asked by a like the mayor's assistant wanted me to serve on some tax review board or something like that, some volunteer county board to like review property tax complaints. And I thought about it, it felt good, like your ego feels good because you're asked to do something important by somebody important. And my kids were little, I was building the team, working a lot, and I was like, do I really have the time to do this? And I went through an exercise. I sat down for a couple of hours and I went through an exercise and really thought about, like, is this something I want to spend time doing? Because I don't want to just say, oh, I don't have time, right? I want to have justification for that. And so I built a time budget, and this has been something that I do really like every quarter, every 6 months. I do this regularly, and I review my time budget. And just like a financial budget or a business budget, it helps you allocate your time efficiently. So before you start with a calendar and time blocking and all those other practices that are important, start with building a budget. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So you identify what you want to spend your time on, right? Specifically, how much time do you want to spend working? How much time do you want to spend with your kids? How much time do you want to spend exercising? Identify those time blocks, because we always say, like, I need to do more of this, but we don't actually put that into a quantifiable amount daily, weekly, monthly, and put it into a budget and account for it. And what you need to do with this practice is be very, very honest about what you spend your time on, because most people who say, I'm busy and I don't have time, if you really followed them around all day, would see how much time they spend doing stupid shit. And then it's not justifiable when you say, like, I don't have any time, because most of us have plenty more time than we think we have. And if we go through this exercise, you will see, and it'll show you numerically exactly how much time you have and how much time you spend on things. So you have to account for absolutely everything. One of the first times I did this with my team, one of the agents afterwards came up to me and says, oh my goodness, I did my time budget and I realized I spent 2 hours a week on my eyelashes. That's like 8 hours a month. That's a whole working day that I spend doing my eyelashes, and it's a crazy waste of time. And I was like, well, that's up to you. I mean, how important your eyelashes are is not for me to decide, but that's a good self-awareness that, if you wanted to get one more extra day of work, you just got to figure out maybe something else to do with your eyelashes. Maybe it's not something you want to spend 2 hours doing. But are there things in your weekly, daily, monthly practice that are burning up time, that are not productive, that are not contributing to you getting towards your goals? And it's something you really got to be honest with yourself about. How much doom scrolling do you do on Instagram? How much Netflix and chill do you do? All that stuff. Like, really be intentional about that, so you can know what you're spending your time on. And then once you've done this, then you build your schedule based upon your budget. So if you know what your allocation of time is, then you can apply that to a schedule. And I'm going to walk you through all of this and show you how to do this. So this is an example of, like, my personal time budget. And if you scan the QR code on the top right, you'll get a Google Doc. It's actually a whole business planning document. So it's got It's got calculating your business goals. It's got a budget worksheet in there for your business. It's got a time budget in there. It's got all kinds of stuff. So lots of different tools on all the tabs across the bottom. But basically what the time budget worksheet will do is you identify what your activity is, how many is it hours per day, week, or month, and then you put in how many hours you want to do per that thing. So I like to sleep no more than 7 hours a day. I don't feel like I don't sleep that much. And if I get 7, that's like a lot. It can be less, and that's okay. But you can see that it calculates out, and it'll do the calculation for you. It's 210 hours a month. And a lot of times, I mean, you can see it on here, but I ask people, how many hours do you have a month? Do you even know like what that number is? And a lot of times folks don't know. So just know that it's 720 hours. Like that's how many hours you have in a month to do all the things that you want to do. And when you account for all of the things that you do on a regular basis that you want to spend time doing, at the bottom, it'll show you what your free time is. And so in this case, in this example, there's 33 hours of free time this a month. And if you think about it, that's a ton, right? That's almost a full entire work week extra that could be applied to things that are currently not accounted for in the budget. And then there's a pie graph on the other side that'll show you kind of visually where all the time gets allocated. But it's a really important exercise to go through and be clear about what do you spend your time on. And if you're not currently doing it, how much time do you want to spend on those things? And so you can see, can I account for everything? Does it make sense? Do I see, is everything that is a priority in my life accounted for from a time standpoint? Because if your relationship with your spouse is not good and you don't have any time dedicated to it, no surprise, right? That's something that you need to then identify weekly time, monthly time, daily time, maybe to do those things. If you want to get in better shape and you don't have an hour or two a day accounted for to exercise and put intentional time into that, your results are going to speak for themselves. And so very, very important, everything you can think of. I mean, I have driving on here. I mean, we all spend, if you have a commute, like that is time that you spend that has to be accounted for, that you will lose every single day. And just be very transparent and honest with yourself when you go through this and build it. So any questions so far on this, guys? Okay, cool. So once you've done this exercise and you've built a budget, now we can take that budget and apply it to a calendar. And I'm a huge believer in recurring events on a calendar. And I'll talk about this later, but the concept behind it is today tasks versus everyday tasks. And does anybody know the difference between a today task and an everyday task? Or an example?
Everyday task, brushing our teeth.
Perfect. Yes, everyday task. You got to brush your teeth every day, right? That's something you got to do every single day. What is a today task?
My errands of, going to get groceries, but it's like a one-off or something.
Totally. And I would also argue most of what we do in the real estate business that you think about as a realtor is a today task, going to an inspection, doing a buyer's consultation, going to a listing appointment, whatever. Those are today tasks that pop up today, tomorrow, the next day. Like they're not recurring tasks, right? But those today tasks are all a result of everyday tasks. So your everyday tasks is your prospecting, right? If you prospect every single day, those will generate today tasks, which then generate us income. And so the flaw with most scheduling that I see with agents is they have, if you open up your calendars and you look right now, and I've done this many times across hundreds of agents, and we do this in live, and I say, open up your calendar and let's go through everything on your calendar for this past week and identify which ones are today tasks and which ones are everyday tasks. And 90% of the time, the stuff on somebody's calendar are today tasks. They don't have everyday tasks in their calendar. And that's where they're failing, because they don't have those repeatable processes of every single day it recurs. Perfect example is prospecting. I mean, we talk about this all the time, but if you don't have 2 hours of prospecting in your calendar every single day, you cannot expect to have a thriving large business. It's just not going to ever happen. You're going to be on the roller coaster of sometimes you're busy and sometimes you're not. But what else do you have to do? If you're into agent attraction, if you're in EXP and you want to agent attract, do you have a recurring calendar invite in your calendar that blocks off specific time just to do that thing? So think about that. Recurring events is super, super important. I'll show you what my calendar looks like in a second. But what you do is you break your budget items into recurring events, right? So if my plan is to work 40 hours a week, how do I then allocate that 40 hours via today tasks and everyday tasks? And those everyday tasks are recurring. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to do these things, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to do these things. And so going through this process and being very, very intentional about it and filling your calendar up with recurring tasks is like a foundational aspect to creating predictable outcomes in your business and and your life, really, not just your business but your life. So really, life things should be in your calendar too. So the third thing on here, committing to your schedule. We always talk about this stuff and then we put stuff in our calendar and then we just don't do it. We just blow it off, right? And that's a very difficult thing to overcome for a lot of folks. And I don't know the secret to overcoming that other than just freaking doing it, like just being disciplined about it. And if it's in your calendar, you just do it. And in my life, it's so insane that like my wife will book items in my calendar. If I need to do a Target pickup on the way home, she puts a calendar invite in my calendar, because if she texts me, calls me, and emails me, it's not going to happen. But if I see it in my calendar, it will happen. Like I live and die by what's in the calendar. And so my kids know this. My kid 8 weeks ago is a senior in high school, and his advisory teacher needed community members to do senior interviews with the senior class kids or whatever. And he looked at my calendar and he saw that December 4th I was free, and he said, Dad, can I book December 4th from 8 to 12 to do senior interviews? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So he did that. So it's like it'll create structure in your life and with your kids and with your family, which is very, very helpful. But you gotta be dedicated to following the calendar. Like at the end of the day, there's probably no more valuable thing you can do to create consistency in your business than actually putting stuff in your calendar and then actually following it and living by it and being dedicated to it. And we'll talk about kind of that more in a couple of slides. We talked about everyday and today tasks. And then the overall goal here, guys, is the boring life. Like my last time I was hanging out with John in Oahu, I was like traveling a lot and I was doing all kinds of stuff. And, a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, it must be fun. And you can go do these events and stuff. And for me, like that gives me anxiety and stress because I'm like not in my boring ass routine where I show up every day at a certain time. I know exactly what I'm doing throughout the day. I know exactly what time I'm going home. I know exactly what I'm doing in the evenings. And I like the boring, predictable life, like no chaos, right? Minimize the chaos. And if you live a super exciting, chaotic, reactive life, like you're not going to ever create predictability in your schedule and in your outcomes. And so think about that. The goal is always boring. The goal is always like, I know what I'm doing next Tuesday at 8:30 because it's the same shit that happens every Tuesday. And it's predictable, but I know what the outcomes are going to be. And I know if I gotta tweak some stuff because the outcomes aren't what they need to be, I can examine what my inputs are and then tweak those inputs for different outcomes. So this is like a couple of weeks ago when I did this the last time for agents. I put in I just did a screenshot of my calendar, and there's lots of stuff on here, right? Like every minute of the day is somewhat accounted for. And the concept that I love is the devil lives in the white space, right? If you have lots of white space in your calendar, that's where the Costco demon comes in and the Target demon comes in, and they start stealing your time and distracting you from what you need to be doing. And so those things should be in your calendar. They should be intentional if you got to go do those things and run those errands, but they should be intentional. They shouldn't be like, I have nothing to do on Thursday afternoon, so I'm just going to do whatever because you don't have anything accounted for. And so having that color coded, I mean, you can color code if you need to. It's not super important, but just having your time allocated throughout the day and knowing exactly what you're going to do makes your life a lot easier. And then you can plan ahead of time. Like I know, the night before, every night before at dinner, my wife and I have a quick conversation about what's happening next day. Is there anything that she needs to do to prepare? Is there anything that I'm not ready for yet? Are we good to go? Did I send John the slide deck? Do I have the Zoom link to show up to this thing? Like we just look at this stuff and it minimizes the chaos in our life. So think about that. If you have lots of white space in your calendar, the devil is creeping around there and will make you do bad things. So eliminate the white space and you will be
What's a
definitely more
good
productive.
calendar or app that you use to give reminder notifications?
Just Google Calendar.
Google Calendar. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I live in the whole Google environment, right? So Gmail, Google Contacts, Google Calendar. I'm actually even an Android user. Don't tell anybody. It's like the biggest thing I get discriminated against is I don't have an iPhone. I've always been a Pixel Android user. So, don't hate me for that.
Oh
But
no. Hey guys, you can sell 1,000 homes by using an Android phone, okay?
right, that's right. Love it. Yes. All right. We'll keep rolling. Okay, so some principles here. Talked about aiming to live the boring life, right? Predictability, boring life, boring life, boring life. Um, Identifying specific priorities. So this is we can be very general about our calendar and our time, but like what are very specific things you want to be better at? I just had an agent, I was talking to agents yesterday at our team meeting, and an agent's like, I need to be better at presenting the buyer's rep agreement and having that conversation with somebody. I said, yes, absolutely. That's something we should all be very good at. I said, how much time is in your calendar to role play that with your friends or talk to a broker and ask them questions and go back and forth on it? And she's like, none. And I'm like, well, how do you ever expect to get better at it then? Right? I mean, like if you don't have any time dedicated to it, like you can want it all you can hope and pray and want it all you want. But if you're not putting the reps in and putting the time and effort in, you're never going to actually get better at it. So your recurring calendar invites and events can change over time. Like I think we should all have personal development time in our calendar, but if it just says personal development, like what the hell does that mean, right? It might in the beginning of your career mean getting better at contracts, maybe in the middle of your career getting better at specific contract negotiations. Later on in your career, I spend a lot of time focusing in on communication and leadership and just being a better coach and mentor to our agents. Like that has developed over time. So what I focused in on personal development wise 5 years ago, 10 years ago is very different than I do today, but it's still in my calendar as something that I'm going to do on a daily basis. So being specific about that and it should evolve over time based on your career, based on your goals, based on where you're at in production. So be very, very specific about what those things are. Talked briefly about this already, right? But dedicate sacred time to work on your priorities. Like this is one of those things that if getting better at doing your calendar is something that you want to do after this, I hope you're inspired to work on this. Next week, put a couple of 1 hour time blocks into your calendar to work on this stuff, to do your time budget, to really evaluate what your priorities are for next year, to figure out what your specific goals are. And then maybe it's just watching some YouTube videos on how to use Google Calendar better, because Google Calendar does a ton of stuff, and learning the skill to use the calendar may be the foundational thing that you must do. And that's a personal development growth opportunity that you have. But put that stuff into your calendar and based upon your priorities. Jack, you got a question? I see your hand up.
Yeah. Hey, how do you avoid putting too much thing on your calendar?
I don't know if too much is a problem. I mean, give me an example.
So I do have those daily tasks and also like a today task, and I don't want to forget about things, so I tend to just put everything that I wanted to do on it, and a lot of time the whole day just packed, and then I get anxiety too.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a mindset thing. Like to me, if my calendar's not full, that gives me anxiety because I'm like, what the hell am I gonna do today? So I think if you shift your mindset from like I have too many things to do versus like, man, I'm super organized and I'm gonna be super productive today. For example, a word I do not use is busy. So I coach agents never to use the word busy. You should use the word productive. When somebody asks you, like, "Hey, John, how are you doing today?" and you say, I'm super busy." Like that tells me, as your friend, as your potential client, past client, or whatever, that you don't have time for me, right? If I say,
Yep.
"Hey, I've been super productive lately," and that means that I can continue to be productive for you too, right? Because that's what I do is I create productivity
Yeah.
in the world. And so, like the specific language you use around this stuff, I think is important. And one of the ways to minimize what's on your calendar is if you actually don't do it, right? So if there's things in your calendar that you're not honoring, that are clearly not a priority, or that are things that you just don't see as necessary, but you leave it in there because you aspire to maybe do that thing or whatever, take it out, right? Unless you're actually doing it, take it out, and that frees up time to do the things that you actually want to prioritize. But yeah, I think I mean, my first calendar item in the day is at 5 a.m., right? We do a 5 a.m. Motivation call with the team, and it runs all the way through till 3 or 4 nights a week I go to jujitsu, and that ends at 8 o'clock at night. It's like 5, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at night. So it's like that stuff is always in there. So to me, never too much.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, practicing delayed gratification. This is another just mental practice that we as humans, I think it's very, very hard to do, but you guys all know, being in real estate, the things that you do today may not actually pay off till 6 months from now, right? That homes, the 10 homes you show this month, that client may not buy till 3 months later. So thinking about that in your calendar also is like, you may have to dedicate lots of time with no immediate gratification, and that's okay. That's just the world that we live in. That's the practice that we have to adhere to. And then what do you do on a daily basis? Like this is a little life hack, right? Is I like to back into parking stalls. So if I go into a parking lot, I back in, because you put more work up front for the delayed gratification of just pulling out and making it easy and not having to back out of your parking stall, right? So there's little things you can do like that in your life, and I'll share with you some more personal hacks in a second. But being used to like investing time in something that is not going to pay off into the future. And it's hard mentally because we live in like the Amazon one-click world where we want instant gratification. But think about that and apply that to your calendar principle. And then the long-term vision, there's things that we've done along the way where we've built different lead programs and different teams to work on different things, and like literally spent 30 minutes a week doing meetings for a year before we saw any type of return. But it was like, I knew that there was a long-term vision, that it would make sense in the future, but we had to put intentional time. And a lot of times people don't like meetings. I like meetings because to me, if you don't have a meeting to show up to report back on, it's an accountability function. It keeps it top of mind. So meetings need to be purposeful. They need to have an agenda. They need to have specific outcomes and deliverables afterwards. But I think if you look at most of the stuff on my calendar, I mean, it's like transaction meeting, it's new agent meeting, it's CRM meeting, it's scripts meeting. Like it's like stuff all throughout the week. But that's how I can best scale my time and impact the most amount of agents, is have things recurring every week that we can be connected. I can be in front of them. I can be influencing them. So that's the highest and best use of my time today in this era of what we're doing. But in the past, there was other things like, hey, if I want to list more houses, I'm going to spend time really refining my listing presentation, doing script practice with my friends to get better at that in-person meeting, handling those objections. What do I do in the follow-up? What are we doing that's innovative? Like, are we thinking about being creative and innovative in the way we market so we have better stuff to present when we go to a listing presentation? Like, do you have preparation time dedicated to be better at the thing that you want to do, because it's a long-term vision to accomplish that thing in the future? So all stuff that you got to think about and be intentional about when you're building your calendar and identifying those action items.
Yeah, Dylan, so you go into that, we got a question here. How do you structure your meetings? How do you run them structure-wise?
Yeah, so it depends. I'll give you a couple of different examples. Like so we do a transaction meeting every Monday, and our 6 transaction coordinators get on. I sit through this meeting. A lot of times I'm just working on a separate screen, and I'm there to listen if there's any issues. But agents come on for a 5-minute time slot. If you have a transaction, you come on for 5 minutes. You touch base with your transaction coordinator. They make sure everything is on track. So this is like really short for the agents, but it's really good because I get a global look at. I mean, we have 150 deals in escrow at any given time, so it's like there's a lot of stuff going on, and if there's problems that are arising, I want to be aware of it so we can get ahead of it. So in 1 hour, we do the transaction review for basically the whole entire team. And so it seems like, it's an hour's long, but like when at that scale, it's very efficient. There's breakout rooms, and I'm just there for the stuff that the high level stuff that they need help with. After that, we do a new agent foundations meeting. That is a rolling curriculum of things that we teach on basically like every 90 days. We go through the same stuff, how do you do open house, how do you do a buyer's consultation, how do you do listen, stuff like that. And then we do some ask anything there. So it's group learning. So if you're a new agent and you're wondering something, you ask, and we cover those things. So it's based on what the priorities are there. We do a CRM meeting after that every Monday at 11 a.m. And our sales director runs that and does best practices, does some masterminding around using follow-up boss, rolls out new features. And so that's an ongoing. There's always stuff, and then agents who are coming up with really good ideas and maybe have a great follow-up text script that they've been using that they're getting a great response to. Like they share that, so there's group learning amongst everybody, and that's a big part of the culture of our team is that we, it's a constant lab where people are experimenting, and if you got something good that happens, like we bring them to these meetings, we talk about them, and then we spread them out to everybody else if it becomes a best practice. We do our main sales meeting, which we start off with like 20 to 30 minutes of wins and gratitudes. We reset the mindset of positivity. So people share what's going on, if they got a new listing, if they got a great closing, if something good happened in their life. That's really a big piece of the team culture. And then the remaining 30 minutes is we have guest speakers. I'll train on something. Somebody on the team who's doing something well, we'll train. We have scripts calls where we just go through and we go through different scripts throughout the week of things that are priorities. So it kind of depends on the meeting, but there's a purpose and an outcome. And then there's the project-based meetings where, if we're working on, we have this web property called Living in Hawaii, where we have a website and an email address and email list and then 2 YouTube channels. And so we're constantly strategizing on creating content for that. And we do live shows and we do different things. And so there's like those project-based meetings where we have outcomes and things we're working on versus the recurring meetings where it's more learning based and instructional based. So it depends, but there's the biggest thing that irritates me is when people like call a meeting and there's no plan. Like, what are we doing? Like we're meeting just to meet. That's when it becomes a problem. So as long as there's a plan, there's an agenda, there's an outcome, then in most cases it can be productive. And then the other hack with meetings too is like 15-minute meetings are good, like especially with Zoom and stuff nowadays. Like there's no bullshitting and drinking coffee before. Like to me, blocking an hour for a meeting is like, you better have a really good reason to need a whole hour. Like a lot of times you can do it in 30 minutes or 20 minutes, and using smaller time blocks also creates more productivity. Or like we do agent attraction meetings on Friday. I tell people dedicate an hour. We're going to meet for 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. I'm going to help you overcome objections. Maybe we'll do some scheduling with some appointments that you want to have. But the next 30 minutes is you go to work. Like block it in your calendar. Like the meeting is not 30 minutes. The meeting is 15, and then you work for 45 or you work for 30 and actually put some effort into your agent attraction goals. So yeah, I think being intentional about like the hour-long meetings not important or not necessary either, unless you have a good reason. Okay, good. We keep rolling over. I want to leave some time for some Q&A and stuff. So we're almost at the end here. Do you have systems that provide predictable outcomes? Is all this is talking about, right? Is inputs create outcomes, and inputs of time is probably the most valuable. So do you have those inputs set up in those systems? Are you tracking your outcomes? This is a big one. One of the things in the spreadsheet that was on the QR code earlier is, I call it the 6-figure action tracker. And it's got all of the things that you need to do on a daily basis to make 6 figures in real estate. And it's like, are you tracking your appointments? Are you tracking your phone calls? Are you tracking the leads that go into your database? Like that's super important too. So you can look back at what your inputs were, which will then, right? Because those inputs then create appointments, which then create closings. And so tracking your inputs and being intentional about that is important. Having a good CRM like Follow Up Boss, which does that stuff for you. It tracks your calls, it tracks your text messages, it tracks your emails and appointments. That will help you quantify those things. But tracking is super. I know John is an insane tracker, right? So you probably heard that before. This is not new information. And then going back to the time budget, does it reflect your priorities? Because that's always important. So here's some crazy personal hacks, right? The stuff that I do for time efficiency, because that's the other thing is like, it's important to like have that time dedication, but I also like to be efficient with my time. Like I wear an EXP shirt every day to work. Like I put no time and effort. John's very well dressed. I am not. I either wear a polo with EXP on it or my team logo, and this is what I wear every single day with black shorts and shoes. Like there's no thought put into my wardrobe every single day. I've been shaving my head since I was 15 years old. I've never put any time and effort ever into my hair. So again, John and I don't agree on this. He has very nice hair. I don't, but again, zero time and effort goes into.
If I had your hairline, bro, I would shave my head too.
Books. I probably read like 15 or 20 quote unquote books, like 15 or 20 books a year. They're all audiobooks. Like if I'm driving, if I'm exercising, if I'm working in the yard and weed whacking or whatever, like I always have audiobooks in my head. So it's like time efficiency where I'm never just, people say, oh, I don't have enough time to read a book. It's like, you just don't need to not just read a book, like do it in conjunction with something else that you're doing, and you get double the time back, right? So you're reading plus you're driving, and it's amazing how much information you can consume throughout the year. Exercise. I've done a lot of time and effort and research on like the most efficient exercise. Like I believe in exercise every single day, but I don't think you have to go to the gym for 2 hours. Like if you go 30 to 45 minutes hard doing things that will accomplish what your exercise goals are, you can get it done very quickly, and it doesn't have to be super time consuming. And then I bought everything that I need to exercise every single day, and it's at my house, so I don't get in the car, I don't drive to the gym, I don't have to think about that stuff. It's like I get up in the morning, I do my 5 a.m. call, and I'm exercising by 5:30 in the morning, and I can knock it out every single day, and it's very efficient. It doesn't take up any additional time and effort. Driving. Biggest hack in the world is like 5 years ago, I got a Tesla. I rarely ever actually drive anymore. Just autopilot. I can respond to emails. I can do social media. I can make phone calls. Like so to me, driving is a big waste of time nowadays with the technology that we have. But you got to make the investment in getting a car that'll self-drive. So that's another personal tactic that gets us that makes things
Hey,
more efficient.
Dylan, can you go back to the previous slide just for
Yep.
1 second? She
Yep.
wants to take a screenshot of it. Vivian,
Yep.
go ahead.
I'm gonna give you guys a slide at the end too.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just send me the slides then. Okay.
So if you guys follow me on Instagram, either type in my name or Kona Broker, and you DM me Mastermind, I got a slide for that. It'll shoot you back the slides, so you'll get them all.
Perfect.
You get the Google Doc. So personal consequences. So here's one more way to be actually accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. People think I'm insane when I talk about this, but you guys can make a judgment on this. I do like little things in life to create personal consequences, so I guarantee do the things that I say I'm going to do. So one of them is I intermittent fast, so I don't eat until noon. It's a hack to control calorie intake, but by noon I'm freaking hungry, right? I want to eat because I haven't eaten since the night before, and I have a to-do list and a priority list every morning, and if I don't do those things, I don't eat. So I know in my mind, if it's 11 o'clock and I haven't finished all my priorities, I'm not going to eat at noon unless I get them done. And so it just creates a little incentive, a little personal consequence that keeps me from procrastinating, from pushing things off and not doing the things that I gotta do. No weekend until the priorities are done. So if there's a weekly priority that has to get done, I like to leave at like 2 o'clock on Fridays and start my weekend early and hang out with my wife and maybe hit the beach with my kids or whatever. Like I don't like to work super late on Fridays, but if I don't do the things that I gotta do, and here's a perfect example of this is I've done a YouTube video every week for the last 8 years, and people are like, how do you do that? How do you stay so consistent? And it's simple. If by the third week of the month all of the videos for the following month are not done, I do not leave on Friday, and I have to stay home. I have to stay in my office and I have to get it done. And I rarely ever have to do that, but I just have this mental self-imposed consequence on myself that if it's not done by the third Friday of the month for the following month, then I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna spend 4 hours shooting videos and getting it done. But that's the way. It's just a personal consequence. It exists. Nobody else holds me to it except for myself. But when I know it's there and it's in my brain, I don't ever stray from what needs to get done. Another personal hack. Some people are morning people, some people are not. But I believe getting up early will make you more productive. I believe nothing productive happens after like 10 p.m. at night. Like it's just a waste of time. Whatever you're doing beyond 10 p.m. at night is rarely ever super productive. And morning hours are the easiest hours to protect, right? Like the 4:30 to 7:30 a.m. hours, like nobody's calling you. You don't go on appointments. You can actually do personal priorities, and whether that's exercise, meditation, whatever it is, I like to. There's an hour of family time in there. Like my wife and I like to sit down with our kids and have breakfast every morning with our kids. Protect those hours, and the earlier you wake up, the easier it is to do that. And the hack to wake up early is you just start doing it, and you get tired earlier at night, and you go to bed. Like go to bed at 9, go to bed at 10. Like you don't have to stay up late, right? And once you start doing that practice, if you do it for 3 weeks, it just happens. Like I wake up at like 2 minutes before my alarm at 4:45 every morning. It's kind of annoying because it happens in the weekends too, but it's like I've been doing it for so long that my body just knows that at that time you get up, and by 9 p.m. at night I'm freaking tired and I'm going to bed. Like it's like there's no way to stay up afterwards. So you just got to start doing it. Last thing here, guys, everything is hard before it's easy. So all of this can sound hard, all of it can sound intimidating, but anytime you've ever learned a skill, it was always hard before it got easy. The fool always precedes the master. So you just got to start doing it. A coach told me this when I was a kid, and it always stuck with me. To get what you've never had, you must do what you've never done. So again, if you're like, hey, you want crazy outsourced $500,000 a year income, you got to do some shit that you never done before. So just prepare and figure out what those things are. And you can't deposit excuses. So we all have excuses. We can all make excuses, but the bank doesn't accept those. So I have that on my wall in my home gym that I look at every morning. It's like, okay, I can make excuses or I can make deposits. You can't have both. And the secret to a productive routine is just to start. Figure out what that is and start doing it. I can't tell you how many times over the years people start coming to the 5 a.m. call for a week and then they quit and then they just fall off. And it's like, hey, that's why you never got the results you wanted. You started, you tried, and you just never stuck with it. So you just got to start and you got to stick with it. There's my Instagram. If you DM me the word mastermind, it'll shoot you the slides back, and then you'll get all that stuff. The QR code with the spreadsheet is on there. And if I can ever help you guys with anything, my dot card is there. All my contact information is there. Just reach out. John is super good at that. He always reaches out, and I do the same to him. So that's what I got. Are we on time? Pretty much, almost, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And guys, scan the QR code, follow him on social media, DM the word mastermind, and you'll get the slides. I already sent it in the chat, and Artie was kind enough to share with us in our role play chat as well. One question, JP says, do you use AI?
I do. So I wouldn't call myself like a super AI expert, but one of the things that I love AI, this is a practical thing that I do with AI, which has made me way more productive, is video content. So I made a video recently about the I don't know if you guys have this in Canada, but there's a homeowner's exemption, like a $500,000 if you're married, $250,000 capital gains exemption if you sell your personal residence. And I wanted to do a video on that, so I just went into chat and I'm like, hey, can you make me a outline for Gamma? Gamma is another tool that I really like, which creates slideshows. So you tell chat to create you an outline for Gamma on this subject. It spits you out. It breaks it down by slide. I cut and paste that into Gamma. It creates a slide deck, and then I use that as my visual when I'm doing videos. So I've been using it for stuff like that, and just helping me do research and create content. So pretty basic, but what we've done with those products that we create for the videos is then we turn them into lead hooks. So I did a video recently on what the current process is to register your vacation rental on every island, because it's different. And then we turn that into a vacation rental guide where if you do, we can run ads, right? Where it's like, if you want a downloadable guide on how to register your vacation rental on Maui, click here and you get a download, and all that stuff is really produced by chat and Gamma, like in minutes. I mean, it's crazy how long it would take before to do the graphic design and come up with the content and do the research. But yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Jack, go ahead.
I'll be quick. Dylan, that was awesome. What you said about like you don't eat before you get your task done. I would say that just that nugget is like life changing. So thank you so much for sharing.
Easy, man. Yep, lots of stuff like that you can do.
Weight loss program for Jack. Good job. All right. Hi, Dylan. As someone who is looking to significantly improve, could you give us an idea of a typical weekday for you? What would that look like? I think you missed the beginning, Nidish, but yeah. What is your? Yeah, he's going to show you right here through the.
Well, this is a calendar example. I mean, not every single week looks like this, but here, let me give you the big rocks, right? So Monday is a heavy meeting day. We do a bunch of different meetings on Monday, very agent focused. So I'm touching everybody. Tuesday, we have additional meetings that we do in the morning. But what I try and do from Tuesday through Friday is from noon on, there's no recurring calendar invites because that's time that's open for people to book time on my calendar. So if you want to book time with me, I have a Calendly and you can do that. Thursdays are dedicated usually to travel. So I try and travel to another island and we meet with a team. So we do an in-person meeting once a month on the different islands. So Thursdays is usually, and I think that's what's on here too, right? It says block Dylan's calendar. I think I went to Oahu that day or whatever. So, again, it's pretty structured. Like what island I go to on a Thursday may change, but it's like I know on Thursdays is usually a travel day. Fridays we have it's more of a leadership day. So we do mentor meetings, we do agent attraction meetings, and we do team leader meetings. So we call our team advisory council. All of the leaders from all the markets come together and we do a coordination meeting on Fridays. So mornings in general, are for recurring time every day type meetings, and then afternoons are for those one-offs, whether it's an agent recruitment meeting or it's helping with a listing contract or whatever. So
Love that. If someone wanted to start on systems, where would you recommend? I'm going to focus on time, budget, and calendar. Systems for prospecting and gaining leads is my main problem consistently.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just let me back up, right? When I was a brand new agent, 8 to 10 every day was prospecting time. Like that was what I did every single day, 5 days a week, was either reach out to new leads or reach out to old leads that needed to be reactivated, follow up on stuff. So to me, if you want to start with something, the first 2 hours of the day is purely prospecting, whether that's new or old prospects.
That's it. Keep it simple. All right. Who else has got the last question here? We're at time. Yeah. Good job, Jim. Who else?
So what's the difference between pressure
Yes.
and stress?
Pressure and stress. What's the difference between pressure and stress for you?
So I heard a really good definition of stress. Stress doesn't come from having too much to do. Stress comes from not doing the things you know you should be doing. So I think if you have priorities, like this is something I mean, I thrive in the pressure, right? So I think that's maybe just a personal difference, and you have to learn. But the reason I love being a leader, the reason I love playing the role that I play, is because lots of people depend on me, and that gets me up every morning, gets me motivated, right? If like nobody needed me, I'd be miserable. So so I think that's something where does it create a lot of stress? Absolutely. You got to show up every single day for many different people for many different things, but I feed off of that. And I think all of us do to some extent, or you wouldn't be in the real estate business. Like the reason you're in the business is because other people are counting on you to find them a home, to sell their home. So you just scale that up. But I think stress is really from you not having priorities, and you wasting time and then not doing the things that you should have been doing, and then that creates that mental stress. So yeah, it's just a matter of organizing stuff. And then it's not stressful to me to not do things if I made a conscious decision that it's not a priority, and then being honest with your people around that, right? Like I just had a discussion yesterday about this, about how do we tell people no. And to me, you just have to have a discussion like, hey, if John and I are friends and we're business partners or whatever, I'm going to make sure early on in our relationship that I'm be like, John, you cool with me telling you no if I think this thing you're asking me to do is stupid? And if John says no, you must do everything I tell you to do, then I'm like, bro, I don't think we can work together, But if he says yes, I mean, I have that relationship all over. My best staff members tell me no all the time because I'm insane, and I'm like, we should do this and we should do that and we should do this. And my sales director will always say, wait, stop. She's like, so you want me to do these 5 things, but now you want me to add these 2 things. Which 2 things should I stop doing in order to do these 2 things? And I'm like, this is good. And I got to think about it and reprioritize. I'm like, you know what? Those 2 things can wait till next week. Let's do these 5 things first. And so you got to have that relationship with your people, with your family, to be able to tell and create that culture. And I think that'll definitely create more efficiency, but making sure you can be told no. You need to be able to say no, and you need to be able to be told no.
Yeah, I love that. So Brandon says, are we able to hop on any of your calls like at 5 a.m. with the Agent Attraction Fridays?
So if you go to the agencyteamhawaii.com, or sorry, the agencyteamhawaii.info, not .com is client facing. If you go to .info, our entire team schedule is on the homepage. If you scroll down, and all of the Google Meets links are there, everything is available for anybody to attend anytime. Everyone's welcome.
Let's go, Brandon. All right, last but not least, what should we do when we miss some tasks and start feeling so guilty? What's your recommendation?
So I would ask, we got to dig deeper into that. Like, how do you miss a task? Like, I feel like, and I'll go back to the early days of building a team when I was still selling 30, 40 homes a year, which is a lot, not some markets, but it's a lot in our market. And I was building this team. There was a lot of shit that needed to get done. And I would just go back to work at night. Like, I'd work all day. I would go home and spend time with my kids, do other things. And then at 8 o'clock at night, I'd go back to work for 2 or 3 hours. And to me, there's definitely enough time in the day to do everything. But guess what? I never watched any TV. I never had any hobbies. Like, I never did anything else. I don't play golf. I mean, I was dedicated to spending all my time towards building where I wanted to go. So I think not getting stuff done it's overcomable. Why aren't you getting it done? And if you're not getting it done, is it really a priority? Because
Mm-hmm.
you got to eat, right? You got to breathe. Like, I mean, like there's things in life that are non-negotiable. And a lot of times we think. I had an agent yesterday tell me she sells 80 houses a year, and she's like, man, I need to get better at calling all of my leads immediately when they come in to follow boss. And I'm like, I don't think that's the right answer. I think you need to hire somebody to do that for you. Like, I think you don't have time to do that, and you're not going to be available. If you're carrying 30 listings at a time, you're not going to be available to call leads as soon as they come into your database. You need to hire an agent to do it. And she's like, and like right there, we had a discussion with an agent who's like, I would do that for you. I'd be FUB all day long. I love FUB, and like, so it's like, she felt stressed over like not feeling like she was doing speed to lead, but it was like that wasn't the answer. Her actually doing it herself was the wrong way to think about it, and so it creates stress that is really unnecessary, and there's a different solution for it. So sometimes it's who, not how, right? It's not, it's what else can you, who can you employ to do the things that you're currently not doing. And that goes back to hourly rate, right? If your hourly rate's $150 an hour and you can pay somebody $25 an hour to clean your house, you should never vacuum your house ever again, right? You should have somebody else doing that stuff while you spend your hours doing $150 an hour tasks.
There you go. It's all about efficiency. Well, guys, we could literally ask another 1,000 questions, but thank you so much, Dylan, for being here today. And it's really shown me like how disciplined you are. And there's no coincidence, guys, that this guy sells 1,000 homes this year. I want to say big congratulations in advance, and thank you for all that you've done for us. And guys, go check out the schedule and go plug in 5 a.m. if you want, and go to the Agent Attraction Fridays. Dylan, thank you so much. And if there's
Thank you all. Appreciate you, man.
One more thing that you can give us to complete the call, what would be to inspire us for 2026?
Hey, discipline equals freedom, guys. Instill more discipline into your life and you will get more freedom. I guarantee it.
Thank you, Dylan. Guys, go make it a great one. Discipline equals freedom. Adios.
Thanks all.
Aloha. Mahalo.
Aloha.